Grandpa was a poet. He lived poetically whenever he could afford to. The footpath wound among stretches of rice fields, its plants reaching my knees and scraping my skin. A few frogs leaped our way. One little one slapped its wet whitish belly against my cheek, tickling my face with its tiny toes and licking me with a quick flick of its tongue as if I were a giant worm. I swiped it off my cheek, rubbing away the slime. I was used to slime. I played with green frogs all the time. They were my playmates. I caught them with soft baiting worms and had them swim like Olympians in a wide wooden bucket to see which ones were champions. I fed them little green worms that crawled over Grandpa's tobacco plants and lined them up on the lowest rung of our wooden stairs going up to our attic bedroom, where Mama prayed first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and many more times in between. She prayed so much that it seemed as much a part of her as breathing and living. She often forgot to eat, but never to pray. After the daily race, I would bring the frogs back to the river and let them swim away to their nests among cracks in the rice fields. As we neared the old pine in the village square, the village stirred with the overtures of morning movements, the sounds and fury of everything, of life itself. We could hear mother pigs being slaughtered at the commune's pig yard. At the pig market, squealing 3-month-old piglets in bamboo buckets were being carried in to be sold. Fresh steamed fish, octopuses, sardines, skates, and mackerels on open bamboo steamer trays were being sold by fishermen's wives along the little narrow lanes of our village. Salted and tender shrimp stringed with reef leaf added to the color and aroma. The lius were steaming their fine pork belly buns. The Chungs were simmering their soybean pulp into a thickly nourishing treat called tofu blossom, which we drizzled with ginger sugar juice and slurped from porcelain dishes. As we neared the Dongjing River, the main tributary coming from the rocks and veins of the high mountains, villagers began appearing, tiny on the gray landscape of the seaside morning village, their voices just audible. They came and went like puppet show actors, staging themselves, moving along the journey of their life. Men and women and boys and girls all around us were performing the Yellowstone ritual of stumbling out of bed and dumping the contents of their night pots into manure holes, which were simply holes dug into the soil and layered with 2 slabs of rock for them to squat on. Only a short circular wall shielded them from onlookers throughout the day. The human waste stayed here until it was fetched up periodically with a wooden scoop and carried in buckets to spread over family vegetable plots as fertilizer. Boys followed their fathers like butterfly shadows here and there, carrying their smaller night pots, aimed toward the same destination. When the bottoms of the night pots were roughly scraped with pieces of rocks, off they went to the Dongjing River, where they met up with their mothers and sisters to clean their pots with running water. Whereas boys and men swished and sloshed their bucket clean, females washed their red-hued sitting buckets by brushing them vehemently with a bamboo brush. As we passed, a married woman looked up from the river where she was beating her pants with a round wooden stick and said to her companion, "Look, it's Sisi of Chen's clan." "The one who leaped?" asked her companion. Sisi kept her gaze downcast and picked up the pace. They whispered some more, then fell into sudden silence as we neared. I glared at them as we passed. Farther upriver were Sisi's close friends, squatting by the rising water, washing their buckets. Li Jun, the dentist's daughter, looked up from her task at hand and nudged her friend, Hin Ru, who followed her gaze. Sisi stole a glance at them and walked on. They didn't greet her as they usually did. Sisi had to pretend they weren't friends anymore because she didn't want to drag them down with her, and they had to do the same, drawing a clear line of demarcation between themselves and Sisi, or their parents could be smeared with a rotten political label. Li Jun's father had already been condemned a few times, having been called a counter-revolutionary dentist for deploying scientific medicine in his trade. Science